G'day, Ed. Just thought we'd do a quick recording. Heard some news. I don't know, almost feel like calling it a bitch and moan session. One of the
Yeah.
large merchants in Auckland just lost two of their biggest clients. Both went into liquidation. One went under for at least 2 million, another for close on 500,000. So 2.5 million lost by one merchant in Auckland, having a big impact
Mhm.
because of credit limits. Now, a lot of the merchants last year increased their credit limits for the builders, and the reason they did that was because of the delay in supply. Delay times have a big impact. And what happens is a merchant registers against your credit limit when you order, not when you receive the goods, but when you actually order the goods. Because there's delays in delivery, they've increased their credit limit, which now increases their risk and exposure. But it's also having a flow-on effect, and I think Eddie's had a scenario with this recently, where orders for jobs further out in the year are now having to be cancelled to come under your credit limit so
Yeah.
you can register for new jobs you've got earlier, which then
Yeah.
puts you to the back of the queue. But anyway, Eddie, what have you heard? What have you seen?
Yeah, so that's with the longer lead times. Obviously you're having to, order jib board 6 or 8 months out.
Yeah.
Cedar claddings are, similar sort of time frame out, I think. So you're ordering these goods, a long way out, which it goes on which stacks against your credit, not when, like you said, not when you receive the goods, but when you've ordered it. So you might not need that stuff for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months, but the other stuff that you actually need, next week or next month, sometimes you can't get because you've already got this big bill set against your credit limit for something that's quite a few months down the track. So what we've been asked to do is cancel some of our orders for the future to get goods for today, which kind of makes sense. But then if you get dropped to the back of the queue again for the stuff, it's not a good idea. So it's created some problems, and there's been builders all over, probably New Zealand, but I definitely know Auckland, who have had to up their credit limit everywhere, which has left the merchants, exposed and worried about cash flow as some of these screws get tightened down on some of the contractors who are in either fixed price contracts or staged invoicing contracts. They might not get paid until the roof gets on or they gets closed in or something like that, but they can't achieve those stages because of the material delay. So it's definitely causing some problems out there. Yeah.
A lot of the charge up guys work to just in time supply, so they order it the
Yeah.
week before they need it, or they think they're going to drop in. Of course, at the moment they're getting a rough education on how that's going to work,
Yeah.
and that's going to have a composite effect, I think, particularly on the guys that are sort of shorter term work, smaller renos.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I can see the need building rapidly for purchase order systems. Purchase order systems give you more control, give you terms over the person selling to you, and
Mm.
you. I think another thing that's come in now. Have you heard anything about people supplying, particularly sub trades, asking for larger deposits than they used to? And
Oh,
are those? Is it happening? And are those deposits secured? What are you seeing?
yeah, that's a problem that we've had because they've been, and it's systemic right through everywhere. Um, Companies, where they might have asked for maybe a 10 or 15% deposit, are now asking for a 50% deposit.
Right.
Um, and there's no security over it, and really you're funding your business. So you're really, it's not like you're ordering, you're giving them a deposit so that they can get the material and have that material sitting on the shelf until they have the time to build it. Um, because they're not getting the materials either. Like as for aluminium joinery, for timber joinery, that sort of thing, you're having to shell out these big deposits just to secure your place in the queue, which is really high risk, really high risk. So moving forward into this year, um, yeah, we're looking at getting securities over these directors of these companies so that we have some security, and we haven't got all of our money, just or our clients' money in some situations, just sitting out there with no security over it.
Well, that's what I've heard is people have passing that cost on to the client, essentially getting their profit early, which sounds really good, but there's no security. So if that company goes under because they use those deposits on wages, say, just to keep going,
Yeah, yeah.
you then still got to supply and supply on time, and
Mm.
it's not a good scenario. You've got to have security. You should be stating terms about what the deposit goes towards. There's ways of securing it, but I'd really encourage anyone who hasn't thought of this yet to contact us and discuss how you control your purchases via purchase order systems. Really critical this year. Yeah. Cool. Hey, thanks, Ed. I think we'll keep people up to date on this topic, but that was really good content, and let's see what happens. If you want to know more, here are all the buttons and resources that you need. Just use these links to go places. Don't forget to share this video with friends who you think might need this video.